Today, I'll be talking about what an accredited versus a non-accredited investor is and how you can get started as either. And I know I said this, I used to think that you have to write really big checks to be an angel investor, and that is simply not true. You can write checks for as little as $500 and invest in really amazing companies. But I found options where you get started with as little as $10. Join me on my mission to increase representation of early stage investors by sharing what I learned and by interviewing investors who share their advice and founders who share their journey. My name is Martina. Welcome. According to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, an accredited investor can be one of several things. I'm going to talk about 3 of those criteria that I think are relevant to us today, but I will link the full list in the description below. First, over the last 2 years, as an individual, you've earned $200,000 a year, or as a household, $300,000 a year, and can reasonably expect to make the same this year. Now, if that sounds like a lot, it is. According to the IRS, 50% of the population makes about $67,000 or less. So if you are one of those 5% that make $200,000 or more, congratulations, you are crushing it, and you should be super proud of yourself for what you've accomplished. If you're like, Martina, this is off to a bad start, I don't make this much money, hold on. There are 2 other criteria, and then I will also talk about how you can invest as a non-accredited investor, because there are options out there for you. Criteria number 2 is you have to have a net worth of $1 million or more, or $2 million as a household, which excludes your primary home. So if you own your home, that is not allowed to count in your net worth calculation. Only 7% of the US population has a net worth of $1 million or more. So if you are one of them, congratulations again, great job. Criteria number 3 is you are a professional that has certain investment licenses, or you are a managing partner or an executive at a financial company that sells securities. Okay, so let me recap that for you quickly. 1, you make $200,000, or as a household, you make $300,000 over the last 2 years. 2, you have a net worth of $1 million, or as a household, over $2 million, excluding your primary home. Or 3, you're a specific financial professional. You might be asking yourself, why do these rules exist? It's my money, I should be able to do what I want. Let me remind you of something I said just a couple of weeks ago. You need to be comfortable losing all of the money that you invested. Part of the SEC's job is to protect the investor, and this is one of the ways that they are doing that. The assumption is, if you fit into one of those criteria, you have enough financial knowledge to either appropriately assess the risk of the investment or to be able to recover from the investment fairly quickly. If you don't meet the criteria that I just mentioned and still have a goal of making $200,000 or more, or having a net worth of over $1 million, you can totally do it. I believe in you. As a non-accredited investor, there are investment restrictions depending on your income and net worth. Remember what I just said. Part of the SEC's job is to protect the investor, and this is another one of the ways they are trying to do that. If your income or net worth is less than $100,000, you can invest the greater number of these two, $2,000 or 5% of either your income or net worth, whichever is smaller. Let me give you an example. Let's say Birch makes $110,000. He's an 11-month-old pup. That's a lot of money for this little guy. He has a net worth of $50,000. So he can invest either the $2,000 or, in this case, since Birch's net worth is $50,000, which is smaller than his income, which is $110,000, we'll use the $50,000 times the 5%, which gives us $2,500. Now remember, it's the greater of the $2,000 or the 5% of. In this case, it's $2,500. So Birch can invest $2,500 over a 12-month period in crowdfunding sites to help fund startups. My advice to Birch, don't spend it all in one place, buddy. Now, if your income or net worth are over $100,000, you can invest 10% of whichever number is smaller. Let's say Carbon makes $150,000 and has a net worth of $105,000. She's a 2.5-year-old pup. She's a little bit more established. Makes sense that she's making a little bit more than Birch. $105,000 of net worth is less than $150,000 of income. We'll be using the $105,000 times the 10% to get $10,500, which is the amount Carbon's allowed to invest over a 12-month period using crowdfunding sites. In some instances, non-accredited investors also have the right of rescission. That's a big word, I know, but it's really not that complicated and it benefits non-accredited investors because It means that in certain scenarios, you as an investor can reclaim the money that you've invested. If you feel the need to do that, definitely talk to a lawyer first. And I just said a version of invest like 5 times in the last 20 seconds. Good job, Martina. Now that we've covered the ins and outs of what an accredited versus a non-accredited investor is, here are the 3 options to get started right away. Keep in mind, this is my personal opinion and experience, not professional investing advice. And by the way, I don't have a partnership with any of these. These are the ones that I looked at and that I've used myself. The first option is Angellist, which is for accredited investors only. The other 2 are for accredited and non-accredited investors. So hold on tight. For accredited investors, Angellist is a great way to get started. They funded almost 300 unicorns. Unicorn is a company that's valued at over $1 billion, which is really quite the accomplishment. When I scroll down a little bit, you'll see they've invested in companies like PillPack, which got acquired by Amazon, and Wise, which went public in 2021. And I've personally used Wise actually. So you can see some hot companies have been funded through Angellist, and you can also invest deal by deal. So you get to choose which companies you want to invest in. Now, as I promised, the next 2 are for accredited and non-accredited investors alike. With Republic, you can invest as little as $10. And what I like about Republic is that they vet investment opportunities for you. Only about 5% of the companies that apply to be crowdfunded on Republic actually get accepted. Definitely still do your own due diligence though. You can invest in tech, they even have real estate or consumer goods. And what I love about them is that they have really sophisticated filters. So you can, for instance, choose by sector or by tech, like blockchain, which is super hot right now. Or for instance, you can invest based on your values. So for instance, diverse founders, and let's say you want to invest between $100 and $250 to make sure that you can invest in multiple companies and really diversify that portfolio. And here they have 23 live opportunities, which is really incredible. Startengine is the third option and is also available for accredited and non-accredited investors. And it's the #1 equity crowdfunding platform out there right now. They've raised over $650 million for about 500 startups, which is super cool. And they have over 1 million investors. Their filter options are a little different. You can filter by industry, for instance, and then you can sort by status like most momentum. And then you'll see that there are 161 startups actually that have gotten the most funding. Oh, also if you'll notice, one of the Shark Tank guys is part of the Startengine team, if you're into that. So I talked about what an accredited versus a non-accredited investor is. I gave you 3 options that you can start right now, but there are so many other sites out there. Definitely let me know in the comments what other sites that you've used to help you get started. And if you're ready to dive in, let me know what company you invest in and why. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with a friend. And if you're not quite ready to start angel investing yet, check out my 5 reasons of why I'm an angel investor in this video right here.